Okay, so for the 4 EOG problems on the back, number 1 is exactly like some of the ones that we did on the front. If you look at the ones that look for the tax rate, so numbers 4, 5, and 6, use those to solve number 1. It's exactly like those. Number 2 has a couple extra steps, so we're going to walk through that one. So the Smith family went out to dinner. We know the price of the meal, so that's everything before tax. We know the tax rate is 6%. And then, this is the last part, just one extra step, that the tip was 15%, and that's after finding the sales tax. So we want to know the total amount of money that they spent. So the first part is going to look familiar. We're just setting up the item over the item with tax, just like normal. So we know that it started out at $29.85. And then what we want to know is how much it was after tax. Again, this is always our initial 100%. And that 6% means that this bottom part will be 106% of the original price. So then we cross multiply. 100x equals 29.85 times 106, which is 3,164.1. Divide both sides by 100. And x then, when you round, is $31.64. So what that just gave us is how much the meal was just with sales tax. So now we need to do one more step. We need to do the tip that's 15% of this. So now we're going to set up one more problem just like the one we did. So we know that the original price is the item. And then now we have the item with tip instead of tax, but it's going to do the same exact thing. So our original price was $31.64. We want to find the new tip price. This is our new starting initial price. That's where the 100% comes in. And then it's a 15% tip, so this becomes 115%. So we're going to cross multiply. X times 100 is 100x. 3164 times 115 is 3,638.6. Divide both sides by 100. And we get the x is then, when you round, $36.39. So that would be your final answer. So we found the price, we found the tax just like we normally would. So we included the 6% tax and found this guy. So that's just like all the ones we've been doing before. Then we plugged that number in up here and solved again, just using now the 15% tip to get the bigger number again. So it's just one extra step. We do it 2 separate times in order to do the tip, or the tax, and then the tip. All right, number 3. This one is similar to the ones that we did before, just like I said in number 1. So I'm going to set this one up, but then I want you guys to solve it. So he bought 2 magazines for $9.95 and then a book for $14.95. And then we know the sales tax rate, so then we want to find the total cost of his purchases. So in order to find the total cost after sales tax, we still need to find the initial cost before tax. So when you're finding the cost of the total bill including tax, this one's going to be like number 7 on the front. So you can use that one to refer back to. But let's first find the total price. So we have $9.95 plus $9.95 because there's 2 of those magazines, plus $14.95. You add all of those up, you get $34.85. So that's going to be your total price before tax. So when we set up our problem, when we do item over the item with tax, this is that top number, $34.85. What we want to know is the total price after sales tax. So this is always our 100%. Then with the sales tax, the 6%, this becomes 106%. So now you have your equation set up. All you need to do is solve it, and then you can do number 3. All right, last one is number 4. This one is going to be a little bit trickier, so we're just going to walk through this one all together. So if Anna saved $20 in her jar each month for 2.5 years, we want to know how much she would spend if she spent 75% of that on the computer, and then how much she would have left over. So first thing we need to do is find out how much money she even has. So it's $20 for each month. Well, in 2.5 years, there's 12 months per year. So that's 12 times 2, which is 24. And then that extra half a year would be 6 months. So then we have another 6, which then you'd add up to get 30 months. So for the 2 years, because there's 12 months in each year, times 2 is 24, plus the 6 months is 30. So 2.5 years is the same thing as 30 months. If you do 2.5 times 12, you get the same answer. So 20 times the 30 months, you get then that she has a total of $600. So then she spent 75% of that on a computer. So after we find out how much she spent on a computer, that'll then tell us how much she has left over after spending it. So we want to look at her savings and compare it to how much she spent, because that's the information that she's given. We would know how much she spent and then how much she saved. So our savings we know is $600. Spent is what we want to know. The savings is the initial 100%. And this time this is going to be less than 100 because she only spent 75% of it. So then you're going to cross multiply. 100x equals 450,000. Then divide both sides by 100. And you get that x is $450. Now, that's how much she spent on the computer. So then we need to figure out how much she has left over. So if you started out with $600 and then spent $450, that means that you would get $150 left over, which means that it would be A. So, because you ended up with $450 left that she spent on the computer, because that's spent what we found, how much she saved, or how much she had left, would be the $150.